What's going on, guys? Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day wherever you are, as always. So, you know who's not having a fantastic day? Evergrande and also their bondholders. So, maybe I should call them bag holders now, because as you can see on the screen, Evergrande joins Kaisa in restricted default, Evergrande default. So, basically, let's get into this article and let's take a look, right? So, Evergrande joins Kaisa in restricted default after missing bond payments, Fitch says. So Fitch tried to contact Evergrande, and basically the conversation went a bit like this. Hello? Evergrande? Is there anyone here? And basically Evergrande just decided to, like someone dodging their ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend's call, not pick up the phone and basically act like there's no issue. So yeah, Fitch basically said Evergrande failed to make payments on its US dollar bonds due on 7th of December and has not responded to requests for comment, right? So basically, there are people that hold the debt of Evergrande, and basically they are saying that we haven't received the interest payment, and this was due probably, I think about on November 7th, right? So because Evergrande has this clause probably they write into their bonds, which is if we make payment within 1 month of the date that we are supposed to make payment, it's not considered a default. So you can see, we'll talk a bit about that later, right? So a restricted default means a company is in payment default but has not entered formal winding up procedures, right? So basically, the company is bankrupt but they haven't filed the necessary legal papers, right? So I don't think this should come as a surprise to anyone on my channel, especially because I've been covering this, I've been talking about it, and I've been saying that this property debacle will probably cause China to go into its first recession in 30 years, right? So that's just a very bold prediction because, no recession in 30 years, suddenly there's some random guy on the internet saying that, China may go into its first recession in 30 years. But I still stand by it, right? Because all the indicators are pointing towards it, right? So I may be wrong in the sense that it's not actually a recession, but a very low growth period is also possible. So yeah, you can see that this articles basically come out one after another when it's very hot news, right? And all this mainstream media is only covering it when it's very hot news because they need more clicks, right? Whether that's right or wrong, that's a debate for another day. If you basically enjoy me covering all this news, even though there's no clicks on it, be sure to smash out the thumbs up button and hit subscribe, right? So I want to talk a bit about what effects this will have after we look at some data, right? So land sales minus 11.15% year over year in September, and it got even worse, right? Minus 17.5% in August, right? So we know that when you have land, right, because you have this big ass country in China, and basically the state governments are allowed to just take the land, sell it to a property developer, and this generates substantial revenue, right? Land sales generate substantial revenue for state governments. Then next, you have these developers that need to hire architects, engineers, and all that to map out like how are they going to build this gigantic property. After that, you need to hire workers, and after that, the workers will spend money and all that, right? So it generates like a booming economy. So I do think that it's really going to weaken China's GDP next year and also their productivity and all that, right? Because some people will be out of jobs just surely because there's no more jobs to build properties, right? Because no demand for properties at the moment. And in fact, I would argue that they have a huge oversupply, right? So land sales weakening after hitting record 8.4 trillion yuan in 2020. So before it all came crashing down, right? So cash-strapped developers stay away amid crackdown on debt, right? So basically, without the easy money, without the debt, basically the developers cannot afford all this land sales anymore. So yeah, home prices expected to drop 1% in half one 2022, and I think this is a very of course there will always be predictions made, but I think this is very optimistic basically because 1%, you expect the housing to drop 1% when there's this giant property developers, a lot of them bear you, not only Evergrande and Kaisa, there's a lot of them. They are defaulting left and right, and they are basically going to dump all their properties onto the market, right? So even if they dump unfinished projects, right, what do you think will happen? They will have to sell it, let's say, at a 40% discount or 50% discount, and the people who buy it can now sell it for maybe 70% of its original price and still make huge margins, right? So what do you think that will do to home prices? Maybe you can think. Property investment in half one 2022 expected to slump 3.0%. Also, I think very optimistic because they have huge supplies, right? And if you have huge supply, the only thing that can happen if demand doesn't catch up is the price goes down. So policymakers to largely stick to tough property curbs but make some tweaks. So you can see that they cannot really hold it with the iron fist anymore because they are actually, China, what they are most afraid of is that the people are not with them, right? Because you can see that over the past 30 years, the people are with them because you generate people from being farmers. Now they are basically working in the city, they have respectable jobs, right? So if you can continue that, no one will be against you. But the moment the bad time comes, the moment the people have not enough to eat, it's a cold winter, this always happens, right? It's a cold winter, they don't have a good place to stay, they will come revolting, right? If the situation gets too bad. So you can see that they don't want that to happen. China's property downturn is expected to continue into the first half of 2022, with home prices and sales falling as tight credit policies and a looming property tax dampen demands, right? But again, very optimistic views from Reuters, right? Because you see all these articles, right? They don't want to produce very negative talk, right? And basically, it's like the Fed, right? They're like, oh, you know, inflation will stop in the middle of 2021. Then it's the middle of 2021, and then they'll be like, oh, inflation will stop at the end of 2021. And now it's the end of 2021, and inflation is going from bad to worse, right? And basically, I think this is the same thing, right? They will say it's China property prices will fall into 2022, the first half. And then when we reach there, they basically push their projections further and further out, right? Because no one can really see like maybe 5 years ahead. You don't know whether this thing will cost like a 5 years issue or not. So next, China property slump has deepened, official data show, with new home prices seeing their biggest month-on-month decline since 2015. So new construction starts in January to October also fell 7.7% compared to a year earlier. So you can see that home prices expected to drop 1% and property investment expected to slump only 3%, when here is 7.7% slowdown in construction, right? So what do you think? What do you think is the correct figure? I would beckon is higher than lower, right? Reckon, sorry. Why did I say beckon? But yeah, next, how does this affect businesses like Alibaba, right? Because I'm personally invested in Alibaba, and also I think Alibaba is a good gauge of what the Chinese economy is doing, right? Because it's really shopping. So yeah, what do I think will happen to Alibaba stock because of all this? So I definitely think that their sales and all will continue to slow down, right? Because you can't expect if a country is going through recession to basically their growth will continue to grow and everything will be optimistic, right? But basically, I'm not so scared about companies like Alibaba. So in the next video, I will talk about why I feel Alibaba is basically going back into the government's good graces, right? So yeah, hit like, hit subscribe for that, right? But basically, what will happen to companies like this? You can see that even if you hold the Amazon stock through the .com bubble, you'll still end up with a high price later on, right? Because these companies are fantastic investment, fantastic companies that I will continue accumulating. So what will sales numbers look like? All that is very hard to project, right? But I reckon it will be lower. And basically, in the future, right, maybe 2 to 3 years from now, this will probably be a bit more forgotten, and basically we will continue to climb, right, the prices of stocks and financial assets, because at the end of the day, GDP will continue to go up and up and up, because GDP cannot go down, right? If GDP goes down, basically your whole country will have a huge issue, right? Because credit will tighten, all that sort of things for another video. But basically, GDP will continue to go up due to inflation, because every government wants to inflate away their debt, and also they want people to see, oh, you know, last time I make $10, now I make $100. Even if the real purchasing power of the $100 is now $9 from the old times, right? People don't care about that. People only care about number go up, good. So yeah, what are my outlook for stocks like this? I think I'll continue accumulating. Again, the only big risk to me is the VIE risk. And yeah, that's about all I wanted to share today. If you did enjoy the video, do help me smash up the thumbs up button, hit subscribe, hit the bell button. With that being said, hope you have a fantastic day ahead and peace out.